well. He's our history maker. Last weekend down in Brazil, about 10-hour flight south of this Austin, Texas circuit, is Vader Patama, Honda Team Asia. It took him, 2 Grand Prix to get himself onto the podium and creating that magical moment of history. The first Indonesian rider ever to score a Grand Prix podium. It's been some start, hasn't it, as far as Patama is concerned. He's 4th on the grid, heading that second row of Guido Pini and Brazilian Grand Prix pole setter Joel Esteban. He has not as yet started lower than 5th on the grid. Patama has not yet finished lower than 5th. He's going to be certainly hoping that that golden run continues this morning.
Yeah, we've got a good Honda representation, haven't we, towards the front of the grid. 3 on the front 2 rows to go with the 3 KTMs and 4 in the top 7 with Adrian Fernandez starting there too. This is such a tough track for anybody, no matter what level of experience you've got in Grand Prix racing, but especially for a rookie to get to grips with this COTA circuit, given how technical and how long it is. It's such a complex layout, which is why you have to give so much credit to both O'Gorman and Pratama for putting themselves in the top 4 places on the grid.
Well, Carpe absolutely crushed qualifying yesterday here in COTA, didn't he? A 2:12.107 from the Spaniard was over 0.4 of a second clear of anybody else on track here in Austin. As mentioned, O'Gorman 2nd, Perrone in 3rd place. Those 2 on the front row with Carpe, the only other 2 that were within half a second of Alvaro Carpe, who's still in search of his first breakthrough Grand Prix success. He's got the cowboy hat on, he looks very relaxed, he looks very, very calm. What about this young man, Lewis, who really is already starting to make big strides as a Grand Prix rider? First front row start for Casey O'Gorman, serious contender as well for his first podium. He looks in great nick here this weekend in Texas.
Very strong points in each of the first 2 Grand Prix too for O'Gorman. 9th place in Brazil. As you can see, he's looking to make some serious history by becoming the first Irish rider to win a Grand Prix for some 53 years. And of course, he's the first Irish rider in the Moto3 era to qualify on the front row of a grid. Here is Marco Morelli, who of course starts from 18th. He came through to the podium last time out in Brazil, but has a long lap penalty to overcome if he's to do the same today.
What about Aussie Joel Kelso, MLAV Racing Honda rider? He's on the middle of that 4th row in 11th place. He loves racing here in Austin, Texas. Let's get Joel's thoughts for Jack.
Yeah, he does indeed love racing here. He shaked and he baked his way to the podium last year. Fancying more of the same, Joel?
Far out. I'd love a shake and bake back to the podium, baby. Let's see how we get on. It's let's see if we can make it a rodeo out there and enjoy ourselves. So, see what we've got in the store today.
Good luck, have fun.
Cheers, legend.
Cheers, legend. You have to love Joel Kelso. He's ready to do some shaking and some baking. Then here, the 22-year-old from Darwin, 2nd in the Grand Prix here last year, was his first dry race World Championship podium. He did it from the front row of the grid. Bit of a tougher challenge this afternoon, going from 11th. A couple of penalties to cover off ahead of this Grand Prix. We'll cover that off very, very shortly, because let's go and hear from Indonesia's new sporting superstar, Vader Patama, on the podium in Brazil, 4th on the grid here in Texas.
Well, Vader, what a week you've had. Quite the weekend in Brazil last time out. Now, first time here, onto the 2nd row of the grid. You must be filled with confidence ahead of this one.
Yeah, of course, I feel confident in this race. And also, yeah, especially in this track, I really enjoy during all the weekend. And yeah, I make improvement during the riding in this track. And yeah, let's see today in the race. Looks like the wind direction is different. It's not same like yesterday, but yeah, I will do my best.
Have a great race.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Vader Patama. Well, let's just cover off on a couple of those penalties, Lewis. We just saw on screens there Marco Morelli, who was on the podium last weekend in Goiânia. He has a long lap to serve in this upcoming Grand Prix.
You saw the reason for that slow online on the back straight down towards turn 12. He's got 1 long lap penalty. It's double the dosage for Jesus Rios, who starts 20th on the grid. 2 long lap penalties for taking out Matteo Bertelli in Brazil. Let's head straight to the front row. How are the nerves for Casey O'Gorman? He's with Jack.
Yeah, that's a good question. You've made a lot of Irish people proud so far this weekend, Casey. What a debut you've had here at COTA. How are the nerves ahead of your first front row start?
Now, to be honest, when you know you have the pace to fire the front, it's a little more calming than other races when you're still trying to make a step for the race. But no, we have the pace, so let's see what we can do.
Good luck. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to the 18-year-old Irishman Casey O'Gorman. Points in 5 of his 6 Grand Prix so far, a best of 6th place over in Portimao. He really is starting to find his feet at this level, isn't he, Casey O'Gorman? One to watch is the 18-year-old. As he was on the middle of that front row. I think we just saw there Joel Esteban, who of course was on pole position over in Brazil last weekend. Happy to see Esteban actually riding here in Austin, because he had a massive face-plant high side, didn't he, when he was fighting for the podium last time out in South America. Well, Red Bull, KTM, Ayo, they're so used to having riders win Moto3 races. It's today the day that Alvaro Carpe breaks his winning duck in the Moto3 World Championship. He's got a great chance for pole position. Let's get the thoughts of his boss, Nicky Ayo with Jack.
Yeah, it was some turnaround from Alvaro from Friday to Saturday. Found an awful lot of pace. What's going to be key to this one for him to take that first victory, Nicky?
I think the key today is to try to push as much as possible from the beginning. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of straights on this track, so if you can pull away a little bit in the beginning, I believe there will be some other guys as well, like Giles, Perone, that have quite good pace. But I think the key is just to push from the start to the finish and hope for the best.
Thanks, Nicky. All the best.
Yeah, push from the get-go. That's usually a tactic that will serve riders well around this Austin. So, yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Nicky Ayo. Carpe, the 18-year-old, he's been top 5 in the last 6, with podiums in Phillip Island and Valencia. He's been the nearly man so far, hasn't he, in 2026, as Carpe, 4th place over the line in Thailand, 4th place over the line in Brazil. A whisker away from troubling the podium places, but he was so superior in the qualifying yesterday, over 4 tenths faster. Very rare you get to see gaps that big between 1st and 2nd on the grid in Moto3.
Oh, we've been so impressed by our rookies in 2026 so far. 2 of them in the top 3 in the World Championship. You just saw another rookie who's catching the eye. Rico Salmela, the young Finn, equals his career best on the 2nd of the Tech 3 KTMs. He and his teammate Valentin Peroni will be both eyeing a march up the order today.
Yeah, Salmela will do well to get away with a couple of aggressive Spaniards alongside him here, because Fernandez and Keylor are going to have to get busy early on to recover ground from that 3rd row of the grid. Heading row 4 in 10th place there, we can see Brit Scott Ogden, of course, riding for CIP Green Power. Qualified top 10 now, Ogden, in 3 of his last 5 Grand Prix. Best of 12th here back in 2022. The BMW safety car then peels away and starts this huge climb up into the first corner. An elevation change of over 40 metres from your standing position on the grid to this very point, when you bank it left into that tricky tight turn 1.
Just looking at the tyre information from Pirelli, everybody is on the soft rear tyre, the SC1. As far as the front tyre is concerned, all the KTM riders are on the medium SC2, and all of the Hondas are on the SC1 soft, with the exception of the 2 Leopard riders, Pini and Fernandez, who have gone for the medium.
We're about to find out if Kelso is about to shake and bake once again here in Austin. As mentioned, he was 2nd in the Grand Prix here last year. No top 6 though in the last 5 Grand Prix for Kelso, since he pushed Jose Antonio Rueda all the way to the checker flag in front of his home crowd in Phillip Island last October. But under blazing sunshine, glorious skies here in Austin. We're going to be racing in what, 3 or 4 minutes time. The fans are ready to go. Such a dramatic Tissot sprint in MotoGP yesterday. I'm sure that whetted the appetite for so many of you watching at home. An appetite for his first win is definitely going the way of number 83, Alvaro Carpe. Welcome to the greatest show on earth.
Oh my! Doesn't get much bigger than that.
Second career pole ahead of a first front row for Casey O'Gorman and back-to-back front rows for Valentin Peroni. Veda Pratama, he's been on the second row in all three of his starts so far. He lines up fourth ahead of Guido Pini and Joel Esteban. On the third row, we find Adrian Fernandez, second of the Leopard Hondas. Max Kilos, who's been on rival for much of practice. Rico Salmella's next to him, his equal career best. Row 4, we find Scott Ogden, who came through Q1 to qualify 10th, ahead of Joel Kelso and Zem Mitani. Best for him so far. Matteo Batelli, pole sitter last year, lines up in 13th place, ahead of Brian Uriarte and Adrian Cruces. Nicola Carraro, his best qualifying of 2026. He's on row 6, ahead of Eddie O'Shea and Marco Morelli, who has a long lap penalty. Rise Yamanaka, Jesus Rios with 2 long laps, and Marcus Uriarte, no relation to Brian, he's 21st on the grid. He's the sole intact rider, completing the grid. Cormac Buchanan after 2 big crashes yesterday. Ruche Moodley, Leo Ramastorfer, and Hakeem Danish, who was on the front row last week, back row today.
Yeah, that was all courtesy of a monster crash in Q1 at the final corner yesterday for Hakeem Danish. He's certainly going to be feeling a little bit second-hand in what's a very physically demanding Circuit of the Americas, Austin Circuit, particularly as you weave your way through, snake your way through this first sector. Well, the rider who won the MotoGP race here in Kota in 2025, big interest as always in Moto3, is Pecco Bagnaia. I have to like to say, joins Jack.
Yeah, he does indeed, and he's just been joined by Marco Bezzecchi as well, who sprinted half of the pit lane to get here, so we'll let him catch his breath. Pecco, Austin, such a technically difficult circuit. How would you go about trying to win a Moto3 race here?
Yeah, I remember when I was in Moto3, the sleep sync makes the race very with a big group, so it's very important to start well, being in the front group, and just try to survive in the last 5 laps and then pushing hard.
Well, let's see if it works. Good luck. Thank you.
Grazie.
Grazie, Pecco Bagnaia, second in yesterday's TSO sprint in what was an all-time classic over 10 laps. Thanks very much, Jack. Yes, Slipstream is going to pay big dividends in this upcoming 14-lap Grand Prix. We have the longest back straight, the longest straight on the entire Grand Prix calendar, as Jesus Rios practices one of the 2 long laps he has to serve in this Grand Prix. 1,200 metres, 1.2 kilometres in length is the back straight on these little pocket Moto3 bikes. The slipstream is going to be so important. 5.51 kilometres is the Circuit of the Americas, one of the longest tracks on the Grand Prix calendar. Last weekend in Goiânia over 5 laps, we had our shortest ever Moto3 race. Max Keeler's prevailing after just 19.17 kilometres of racing. The previous shortest was actually right here at Austin, all the way back in 2013. When Alex Rins won a dash for cash. It also is the shortest lightweight World Championship Grand Prix ever in history last weekend in Goiânia. Maybe Max Keeler's visit to make it back-to-back wins for the first time in his career. Might have to go slightly longer distance than about 20 kilometres of racing last weekend, as Alvaro Carpi then comes to pole position. Twice he has led Grand Prix previously in his career. He was the leader in Mugello from pole position last year. He also did a bit of front running at the iconic Dutch TT in Assen last year as well. So not exactly a frequent front runner is Carpe as he slots into pole position. Keeping a close eye as well on that second row of the grid, Veda Pratama, who created so many headlines last weekend down in Brazil. Casey O'Gorman, how the nerves, how the butterflies for the Irish emerging star as he gets set to start from the front row of the grid for the first time. Chapter 3 then. Our third race day of 2026 about to get underway here in Moto3. We've got the green flag that's cleared at the back of the grid, and the glorious sunshine. It's lights out. We're racing in Moto3 here in Austin. It's a brilliant start from the pole starter, Alvaro Carpi. He's going to get the drop on the field on this long climb to turn 1. Veda Pratama already getting very aggressive, and here comes Keeles. Keeles from the middle of that third row in 8th place, already into P3.
He got a spectacular launch. He was straight past the 2 Leopard Hondas before they'd even left the grid, and now he's already into the podium spots up the inside of Veda Pratama. It's 83 and 73 away at the front, Carpe and Peroni.
Max attack from Max Keeles already then in the early part of this Grand Prix. Pratama there in 4th place. Just behind him is Joel Esteban. Oh, big moment there. Big moment was there on the front end for Carpe as he powered through that first sector. He was almost down there. Did really well to save that one. And just behind him was Peroni, who had to be red alert there, full focus too.
Keeles was a little bit wide there.